Welcome to our virtual Q&A. My name is Anto Astudillo. My pronouns are they, he. I'm part of the programming team of NewFest. We're excited to be sharing over 130 films in person and online as we celebrate our 35-year anniversary. I'm particularly thrilled to have so many films by, for, and about our trans plus community. And today, we're joining one of them, A Place of Our Own. I welcome the Ektara collective, directors, creators behind this incredible piece, and Muskan, one of the protagonists of the film.
Hi, I'm Muskan, and actor this film एक जगह अपनी आई सॉरी
Yes, that's okay. I'm Rinchin. I'm a part of Ektara Collective, and I was a part of the team that wrote Ek Jaga Apni, and I'm also part of the directorial team.
Hi, my name is Maheen, and I did the cinematography of the film and also worked on the script with Rinchin and Muskan and the actors.
First of all, I would like to start with this beautiful approach of creating something, directing a film collectively. And I would love to know more about the Ektara Collective, what do you do, and how you started this project, how you decided to come together and make this project. If you can share with the audience a little bit about the Ektara Collective.
So, Ektara Collective is a group of people who've come together to make films. And this is our second feature and our fifth film. And we work as a collective because we realize that it is through this collective process that we are able to express our art best, and we also combine all our resources to be able to make this film. And we don't have very clearly demarcated boundaries as to who does what. So when we come together, and that's why we have a collective credit. And this project it's our second feature film, and we a lot of us within the collective are identify as queer, and it was important to us in some ways to make a film that represented our own voices, our lives, and it was through a conversation with Apni and Muskan when we met, and it was during the lockdown, and where we felt that there was a need to tell our stories our own way. So, and from the unique context also that it comes, because a lot of the stuff that we were seeing was not what we were connecting with, even in as trans queer stories. So that's how, just for the fact of like telling our own stories, is how this film came into being.
Yeah, so one of the things that really impacted me of the film is how there is so much dignity. The characters are built with so much dignity, and despite being discriminated, they're resilient and they're strong. And I would love to learn more about the work between you and the lead actresses Muskan and Manish Soni, and how was that process of creating the film and the story?
So Muskan was just saying that when we all met and then we expressed this idea of how we can make this film, and in that Muskan and Abhi, both of them contributed a lot of the incidents that were a part of their lives, and then that was scripted by Rinchin and the two of us, and then we took this forward, and so the roles also that they played were coming from something that was very deeply rooted in their lives. And so it was a character that was being played, but it was something that emerged from within.
And I think I think the acting also brought so much dignity to the roles, because while they played a character that was very close to their lives, it's still acting, and while many of the incidents would come from lives around us, but it is like a composite of many people's stories also as characters that they played. So the dignity came from, I think, from within, and I think that's also what when we constantly talk about representation. So when characters, trans characters, also play their own play roles that will somehow, like, will always be more authentic, and there will be more dignity and the dignity attached to it. So that and that was very clear from to us from the start. So
Thank you. Yes, and I mean, something that really touched me about the film as well is that the uniqueness of the film is that it focuses on themes that are really key to understand the struggles that our trans community goes through in everywhere in the world. And one of them is labor, right? Work, be able to have access to work, to a job. And the other one is housing, right? And this is something that really, really touched me because I see all the time, people in the trans community struggling with it, asking for the community for support, financial support to be able to find a place of their own, right? And this is the strength of the film. I would love to hear about, your desire to focus on these topics and which make the film so unique and different from other films, right? This is a film that's trying to bring us into the real world and the real struggles of our trans community.
when we were conceptualizing this film and thinking, we were also going through the first phase of the COVID lockdown. And that is what actually brought us all together, because of the issues that became very stark as to who had access, who didn't have access to even any of the relief work that was going on. And so while we were writing, and it was a story about two people who are, the at some point the housing or looking for a house became for in the beginning was a metaphor for finding your own place in society, but it was also a very real issue because. I mean, in real life also, and in India at this point, trans people definitely have, like, it's it is very difficult to get housing, but also queer people. If you are Muslim, if you are Adivasi, if you are Dalit, it is difficult to get housing because there are different ways in which people are being discriminated against. So it was very real, because even for the whole cast and crew and the different locations that everyone came from, it was a very real issue. Same for jobs. So it was very easy for people to relate with each other also. And I think Muskan and Avni brought it out beautifully, because it was probably a lived experience for almost everyone in different ways, but much more difficult for a trans person. But even as women or as queer women, people have constantly faced, if you're not a family unit, it is very difficult to get a house. So I think that was something that we all related to, and it was like it is a central issue in almost all our lives. So then that.
I also wanted to add to that the immense sense of community that's present in the film. I noticed this was probably the biggest thing that I connected with, which is what's the support system around you, what's the community around you. And it truly, this film shows that there is no other way for our trans community and also our queer community to survive in a society that discriminates us or that is pushing us to the margins, but to have a community that is there to support us. And that's something that you truly see in the film with the friendship of the lead characters, and their connection with this driver that drives them around, takes them everywhere, and is helping them, and also their queer trans community, their friends. And we have some wonderful moments in the film where they, are sharing that joy of being in community. If maybe Muskan can talk about those connections.
मिलता है, एक हिम्मत मिलती है, एक जीने का तरीका और एक जज्बा मिलता है.
Muskan is saying that for her it was very, very important because this is her real family. Like the trans community and the LGBTQ community is really her family and her community. And so for us to bring it together and to show it in the film was it was one of the primary intentions of having it there. And it is only when we come together that we are finding strength because we are all so scattered, and so and it becomes very lonely. The journey becomes very lonely. But when we come together, then we are able to find strength in each other and move forward, leaving behind all that is coming as oppression against us.
Yeah, this is truly beautiful. Honestly, to me, it's probably the most powerful thing of the film, that feeling of community. I also wanted to talk about something that was very intentional in the film. I noticed that every time, the lead characters would face any opposition, any discrimination, any obstacles, they would take a moment to educate others. And that's a really particular approach. As you can easily react in a way that's defensive, and you can defend yourself and in a very aggressive way just because you're being attacked, you're under attack. But these characters, they were always so thoughtful to share some knowledge, some wisdom. And these educational moments that are not, they don't only work for the characters they are addressing, but also for the audience. And it also shows a certain growth in each of the characters. Could you talk about that approach, this more educational approach?
Actually, that wasn't a conscious. I don't know. It wasn't so much a conscious choice in the story writing, but maybe it came off like that. But that's also a part of our journeys, no? When especially any marginal group has to, like, even among the allies, if you work with people and. But one of the biggest things that you have to do is constantly educate or engage, because otherwise there is no way. And even with people who are allies, and that happens for every marginality, whether it's caste, whether it's sexuality or gender, and it is with that you can move forward. So I think it probably again, it just came out as also as what is a big part of living and surviving in this world, which is engaging like that. So fighting back, engaging, whichever way that you can, because you have to survive. And this is the story of two survivors, people who are moving forward and surviving, deriving joy, fighting, everything, that living a life which is full, which is not just of victimhood, but which is that, and which is also driven not just by personal, in a way, just by the fact that it is a personal journey, but that it becomes actually a community journey that is. It also sort of represents the whole queer trans movement also. That's what people before us have done, have made way for us to be able to ask more questions. So,
so more than education, it's probably an engage. We see it more like an engagement, and that is also one of the tools that probably we use. I mean, sometimes you fight, sometimes you explain, sometimes you, and all of us as queer people are just so used to doing that. Whatever is the tool at hand, just use it to move forward.
तरीका हमारे ने निकाला है, तो आशा है कि और आई होप इतनी अच्छी लोगों तक पहुंच रही है, आप लोगों तक पहुंच रही है, खुशी की बात है कि स्टोरी आप लोगों को पसंद आ रही है, उसकी सिचुएशन समझ में आ रही है, कंडीशन आप लोग समझ पा रहे हैं कि ट्रांस कम्युनिटी इंडिया में कितना सर्वाइव करती है और उसकी क्या कंडीशन होती है, किस तरह की प्रॉब्लम उसको फेस करना पड़ता है.
Basically saying that we wanted to educate people that we are human, and that to treat us like as human, and this is the main education, because many times people don't see us like that, and that is our main message through this film, and we found a beautiful way of expressing it in the film. But this is really the message for people, that to look at us as human beings, not just as with a singular lens that is usually used to see us. And unfortunately, people need to be educated about that.
And I think all art is a medium to engage, right? So
all of these things are super powerful. I remember from the film the line, society thinks that we're different. It's not that we're different. Society thinks that we're different. Or one of the lines that Roshni says also, don't we look human to them, asking another character. So these are all such powerful, every single text in the film is, showing this trans resilience and how we're there in the world, trying to live a life and basically trying to have a dignified life. Thank you so much for joining us today and sharing some ideas behind the film, sharing some of the process. I think we're really fortunate to have this film at NewFest this year. I think our community are really going to love this film. And if you would like to share some words or last thoughts for our community, I would love to hear anything you would like to share with the audience, with the people that are watching this film.
One thing that I would really like to talk about is also the fact that the way our whole collective also came together to, even those connected with the film and came together in a way to support, to make the best film possible with the kind of resources that we had, but still, like, it was much above what the resources we had. I think everyone worked much above their capacity, and the kind of grace and dignity that, as actors, as trans actors, and while we're talking a lot about representation, it is important, but also we have to understand the kind of difficulties also that actors had to face while we were shooting, especially in public places, the kind of comments that were there, the kind of things that were said. Anyway, acting is a very difficult thing. It's like, it's being, it's being in front of so many people and bearing your soul, but the kind of prejudice that people had to face, and still being able to act and still being able to give their best, I think that grace we all really want to appreciate and bring out in front of everyone. And the way the rest of the team understood it, and the way they rallied around that, blocking hostility, giving as much support as they could, and in a way that created a vacuum, a pocket of support and solidarity in which they could act. That, I think, for all of us as a team, is something that we will always cherish. And I think it is important for now filmmakers and people to actually even think about the representation that they have in films. And the more and more that we see different people on screen, different lives on screens, the more easy it will be for everyone. So I think a big part of acceptance would be to open up these artistic fields for everyone, and it is our responsibility to make them safe and more better.
Thank you so much for that. It's so important to create those safe spaces for artists, trans artists, to be able to make their work, and not only to give the opportunity for them to be a part of a film, but also to tell their own stories, and also on top of that have a safe space to be able to tell those stories. It's so key, so important. We're so thankful to have you and have your film. And to be able to talk to you today. Thank you, Muskan, so much for being and joining us, being here. And yes, thank you.